It's okay. We'll do something this year.
Who day?
Who that? Are we live now?
We're actually live this time.
Oh, thank God.
Mikey's a little pissed at me because I prematurely started, and then it was like, fuck, I didn't hit the button.
I was excited for nothing, Kyle. Can't be doing that.
All right. So, obviously, as you can tell from, like, you know, the title and the thumbnail and everything, first thing we're going to talk about, obviously, is the same thing everybody's talking about. Micah Parsons getting traded to the Green Bay Packers for some reason, but I have my theories as to that reason. But you know, obviously, me and Mikey, we got to change up our power rankings a little bit. And we don't have the full graphic this time because you know it kind of just happened like this just happened not too long ago, so we haven't really had time to like do a coordinated thing. Daniel Barry says, "Happy Tuesday, everybody! Happy Tuesday, Daniel Barry."
Tuesday, man. Yeah, well, it's not a happy Tuesday, you know, because, you know.
So, well, you know. As a reminder, here were my power rankings. I had the Packers ranked at number 9. And here are Mikey's power rankings. He had them a little lower at number 11. So, Mikey, I'll go ahead and let you start. How does the Michael Parsons... I just did it. Like everybody makes fun of Jerry Jones for saying Michael Parsons. I just said Michael Parsons. So, how does the Micah Parsons trade affect the landscape here? You had him at 11 before.
Yeah, the Micah Parsons.
I'm guessing you don't have the Cowboys at 9 anymore.
No. Cowboys, y'all some special type of stupid. Y'all some special kind of stupid. Like, bro, you got the best, at least top 2 or 3 edge rusher in the NFL. And you're like, you know what? Instead of paying this guy more money than the Packers offered him, you know what we're going to do? We're going to trade for 2 first-round picks that are probably going to be in the 20s or 30s. And let's trade for a 29 or 30-year-old washed-up Kenny Clark. You know what that trade reminds me of? Okay? And if y'all don't watch basketball, then y'all might not get this. But this trade reminds me of that Luka Doncic trade ironically made by the Dallas Mavericks. Man, I don't know what be going on in that barbecue over in Dallas. Because they traded Luka for Anthony Davis. And Davis was old and Luka was young. But it's not just about the age. It's about, bruh, I would take Micah Parsons 8 times out of 7 days. It's like, what are you doing? Now for the Packers, I'm like, holy crap. If I'm a Packers fan, I'm freaking jumping off of walls and stuff. Y'all got Micah Parsons. I understand y'all don't got 2 first-round picks now. But if you're winning games, those first-round picks ain't going to matter. And Micah Parsons is a huge, well, I'm not going to say he's a huge, like, you know, guy to, like, he's not going to carry you to wins. I mean, we saw that in Dallas. He couldn't do that. But he's going to the Packers where he doesn't have to do that, you know. Like, I still think, you know, the Packers, I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders just yet. I think they're easily going to be a playoff team. But I don't think, well, maybe a playoff team, you know, depending on how the season goes, obviously. But I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender just yet, however, because, like, I still want to see some more of that offense because, like, they got a rookie receiver. They got Josh Jacobs, who's nice, but Jordan Love, can he actually be that guy? Their tight end room is kind of suspect a little bit, so yeah. I'm just, you know, I just think, you know, for the Cowboys, y'all some specials kind of stupid, and for the Packers, hey, this trade could be like the Herschel Walker trade, but if it's not like the Herschel Walker trade, then Cowboys are special kind of stupid, and Packers are special kind of genius.
Okay, so that's a lot to digest. But how does this change your power rankings?
The Cowboys, honestly, I'm putting them in the 20s after this.
Yeah, I think I might agree with that, honestly. But like where in the 20s?
Like 22 or something, because they ain't got no defense in there.
Well, that's funny because you had the Saints at 22.
Well, dang it, put the Saints at 9, Cowboys at 22, and rock it.
I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Well, I can.
Okay. So what about the Packers then? Where are you putting them?
See, I had them at 11, right?
Yep.
Let me see who I had above them. Hold on. So I had Rams. I think right now I would definitely put them over the Rams, probably.
Okay.
Cowboys. Texans, I'll probably put them over. 49ers, I'll put them over. So I would say like around that 6, 7 spots.
So right there with the Bengals, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and that kind of makes sense because like they have their Trey Hendrickson now, but they also have a younger version of Trey Hendrickson. But there's another angle to this that I kind of want to talk about because so I had the Cowboys at 17 because I thought Mikey was absolutely fucking crazy for putting them as high as he put them. But I had the Cowboys at 17 before this happened.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just did not believe in the Cowboys at all this year. I had the Cowboys at 17 before all this happened, and then I had the Packers at number 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's my perspective on the Micah Parsons trade. Okay, obviously, if you're a Packers fan, you're over the moon because this is an absolutely massive trade. This is one of the biggest trades that's happened in a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
I would caution people, look, Packers fans in particular, to be try to. I mean, obviously, initially, you're just gonna like go crazy. Oh my god, I can't believe that. But like going forward, I would caution you to be a little bit like, don't get too like out of your minds, because like the last couple of times that gigantic trades like this have happened, they've ended up being disastrous for the teams that made them. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be disastrous for the Packers. Could be, though. But, like, obviously the Russell Wilson trade blew the hell up in the Broncos' face. The Deshaun Watson trade blew up in the Browns' face. I can't really think of any other massive blockbuster trades of this magnitude that worked out well for the. I'm going back to like Carson Palmer in my head. Like that was a massive blockbuster trade that worked out terribly for the Raiders.
I mentioned Herschel Walker.
That's way longer back. Like Carson Palmer was 2010. Herschel Walker was in like the 70s or 80s or something like that.
Yeah, when you're talking about like bad trades, it's either that or the Watson trade that people say is the worst.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not saying the Herschel Walker trade isn't a good example. I'm just saying like as far as recent trades go, even Carson Palmer was a long time ago. But think about that, like the Raiders thought they were getting like this absolute game changing type of guy, so they gave us they basically committed to the concept of giving us 2 first-round picks. But if things didn't work out, then that second first-round pick turned into a second-round pick, which worked out just fine. We got Giovanni Bernard with that pick. That's totally fine. But Carson Palmer, as was fine in Oakland, but Oakland was not prepared for being a good team. So Carson Palmer's time in Oakland just didn't work out super well. They ended up trading him to the Cardinals, and there he did pretty well. Actually won a fucking playoff game for once in his career.
Cool.
But so my concern with Micah Parsons boils down to the fact that Jerry Jones was really eager to get rid of him.
He was.
So why was Jerry Jones so eager to get rid of Micah Parsons? Is it really because of the handshake? Is Jerry Jones an insane, senile old man? He might be. He really might. Like, I mean, we've seen a lot of evidence, without going into too many specifics for reasons, we've seen a lot of evidence in recent years of senile old men making really poor decisions, right? So I think it's pretty. I think NFL fans right now are primed to just believe that the senile old man is doing senile old man things, and he might be. I'm not saying he's not, but that handshake story just it feels like bluster. It feels like theater, to me. It feels like Jerry Jones was like it was basically just acting this way and trying to drum up all this drama and making a team like the Packers feel like that they're getting this like premium ultra whatever player so that he could drum up the trade value. And the argument has been made that the Cowboys should have gotten more for Micah Parsons, and you're never not going to be able to argue that. Like, if the Packers believed he was worth 2 first-round picks and a Pro Bowl defensive tackle, even a Pro Bowl defensive tackle who's like on the downswing in his career, but like if the Packers felt he was worth that, then I guarantee you the Packers felt he was worth more, and also other teams probably thought he was worth more. And so the Cowboys trading Micah Parsons to a rival, you're never going to be able to say that the Cowboys maxed out on the value that they could have gotten in that situation. But since this trade has happened, there has been, new information that's come out. The whole thing all day today and yesterday has been talking about how Micah Parsons has been dealing with a dual sprain in his back, and he's got to take like epidural shots to be able to get through game day because of it. And so there was even some question about whether he'd be ready to play in Week 1 against the Lions. Now it sounds like he's going to take the shots and be ready for Week 1 against the Lions, but it sounds to me like it's quite possible that Micah Parsons' back injury is a ticking time bomb, and because of that, Jerry Jones wanted to ship him out while his value was still high, knowing that the Cowboys are not currently in a position to win a Super Bowl anyway, so you might as well try to get the most value you can get out of him now, and then try to, build up later, because, I mean, who knows how much longer if Micah Parsons' back injury is as bad as it kind of sounds like it could be, then the question is, how long is Micah Parsons going to be that all-pro player that the Packers traded for, I mean, he's only 26 years old, so that's the upside. But the problem is, if that back injury is serious enough, maybe that's why Jerry Jones was basically, trying to find a trade deal instead of trying to re-sign him. And all that drama about not wanting to discuss with his agent and not wanting to. Being like, oh, we had a handshake deal and stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying none of that stuff's true, but it feels like some of that stuff could be all that stuff could be Jerry Jones basically trying to throw out basically throw out all this drama that kind of distracts from the fact that Micah Parsons might be somebody they were considering trading anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trade was it came out of nowhere. It came out left field, personally, but because Jerry Jones openly said Micah Parsons is going to be a Cowboy for 3 years, no matter what. He literally said, we're going to tag him 3 times. And then, a couple days later, you trade him. I'm just thinking, this man just went back on his word. Did he forget he said that? Or is that when the injuries started coming? It was just a lot of stuff going on.
So players don't like being franchise tagged. So as far as him going back on his word on that, maybe he's going back on his word on Cowboys fans. But when you say something like that, when you say he's never leaving the Cowboys, what does that do to the trade value? It drives the trade value up. You can't listen to what people say in the NFL, just take everything so literally all the time, because half of it's theater. Half of it is just they're trying to get, the NFL's trying to drive up viewership, and half of it's, these, marketing and sales guys who run these teams who are trying to drive up, people's interest in certain players and, stuff like that. It's why, it was a genius move. I hesitate to put the words genius and Mike Brown in the same fucking sentence, first of all, so let's just be very clear about that. But it was one genius move that Mike Brown made at one time, was basically telling Carson Palmer, yeah, you can retire, you can sit, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm Mike Brown. I own the Cincinnati Bengals. I have like shit tons of money. You want to like sit out and like not make all the rest of your money in your contract and just retire and do whatever? Fine, fuck off, dude. And then he basically told the rest of the NFL like, no, I'm not trading him. Like, you know, this is a matter of principle. And then the Raiders were like, how about 2 first-round picks? And Mike Brown was like, okay, that sounds pretty good, you know. It's just, you know, people these owners, these GMs, these whatever, they, you know, in the case of the Bengals and the Cowboys, neither actually have a general manager, which is a weird, you know, they're the only 2 teams in the NFL that don't have general managers, and their owners operate in similar ways. But you know, I will say, if it works out for the Packers, obviously, to actually get to my power rankings and how I digest them. So I had the Packers at 9, I had the Cowboys at 17. The Cowboys are moving down because of this, because, like, you know, like throw away everything I said about, like, Micah Parsons' back injury real quick, because I didn't know that when I made the power rankings. So without Micah Parsons, the Cowboys they're tumbling down these power rankings. I mean, like, I'd probably, like Mikey said, he'd put them in the 20s. I'd probably put them in the 20s too. Like, probably like 23, 24, right in between the Raiders and the Jaguars. I just, you know, I don't see any vision for the Cowboys if they don't have like a healthy Micah Parsons on their roster this year, because other than that, what do you got fucking going for you? Like, Kenny Clark, I've been a big fan of Kenny Clark for a while. I wanted the Bengals to draft him when I forget what draft year that was, but that was a guy I was targeting. I was like, I want the Bengals to draft him. When we ended up getting DJ Reader at one point, I was like, hey, look, that's finally a guy who's kind of like Kenny Clark. I can get behind that. But at this stage, and I've even said, like, it'd be great if we could, you know, like, pick Kenny Clark up in free agency whenever he's available, or, you know, maybe even make a trade for him. At this point in his career, I'd still take Kenny Clark on the Bengals, but he's not, like, I mean, he had a down year last year, right? And even as a run stopper, he's not replacing Micah Parsons, right? So for the Cowboys, you definitely didn't get better this year. I mean, if Micah Parsons' back injury is bad enough, then maybe, you know, maybe Jerry Jones fleeced the Packers and it'll be all funny and hilarious and we'll all get to collectively laugh at them. And that would be funny. Or we're going to collectively laugh at the Cowboys, which we've all been doing all week. But, you know, so the Cowboys go down. They did not improve. They got, you know, substantially worse from where I thought they were when we made these power rankings. Maybe they got substantially worse than where they really were, or not, I don't know. But, you know, like I said, 23, 24, that's about where I'd put the Cowboys now. And the Packers, it's weird. So I had the Packers at 9. And if Micah Parsons really does make a substantial impact this year, then, you know, they're Super Bowl contenders. There's no question about that, right? Like, I mean, you'd have to have, you know, you'd have to have them, like, right in the territory there with the Chiefs, maybe ahead of the Chiefs, right? Like, right there with the Bills and the Lions and the Eagles. You know, they're right there, and right where the Bengals could be, you know, if things actually work out this year. But if Micah Parsons struggles to make an impact this year because of, you know, like, lingering back injury issues, then, I mean, you're talking about a defense that you basically lost, like, half of your ability to stop anybody on the defensive line. You're really banking on young guys like Lucas Van Ness taking, like, a big step. So it's 100% where the Packers end up this year is now completely tied to Micah Parsons, and you just better hope you made the right bet there, you know. And it seems possible that they did, but you just don't know. So, I mean, I would maybe bump the Packers up like another spot or two. Like, I think this puts them ahead of the Vikings pretty clearly. I think it's that they're right on par with the Commanders in terms of power rankings. In terms of, like, where I think they could be versus where I think they could be, like, at their best versus where they could be at their worst. And for the Packers, I think it's right there with the Commanders. Because with the Commanders, it's like the Commanders could win the NFC this year. I'm not saying they couldn't. I put them at 7 in my power rankings because I don't think they will, but They totally could, but they could also, kind of have a bit of a fall off this year. It really kind of depends, but yeah, the Packers. The Packers get a little bit, for me on the power rankings, the Packers get a little bit of a bump, and the Cowboys fall like halfway down the fucking chart. And it's entirely because like whether Micah Parsons was going to be a substantial difference maker this year or not, I was assuming he was when I put them at 17, which shows you how I feel about everybody but Micah Parsons on the Cowboys.
Yeah, and somehow Cowboy fans will look at that trade and they're going to still be like, "It's our year. Kenny Clark is gonna lead us."
Well, you say that, but the most homerist of all Homer Cowboys fans on the planet, Scooter Magruder, wasn't saying that when the trade was made.
Well, that's because Scooter's actually a somewhat realistic Cowboy fan. I'll say that.
Not usually. I mean, I think in reality he is, but I think the way he plays it up for YouTube, he's never really like that. The fact that he was like that this time shows you how real this feels for Cowboys fans.
Yeah, man, I was watching this one video where a Cowboys fan dropped to their knees when they saw the trade. And he was like, "Jerry Jones don't want to win." He dropped to his knees, bro.
The Raiders do exist, Jim. I believe it or not. I'm not sure if they matter, but they exist.
Hey, I think the Raiders could be sneaky good this year.
Not buying the Packers suddenly a Super Bowl team because of one player. Well, that's the thing, Jim. If Micah Parsons is as good as Micah Parsons, like if the idea of Micah Parsons that's in the heads of Packers fans and really in the popular heads of most NFL fans, if that Micah Parsons is available and plays at that level this year, then the Packers are absolutely Super Bowl contenders because their offense is already pretty solid. It really depends on if Jordan Love turns out to like if Jordan Love is at his potential this year, or if he takes a step back or something like that, that would kind of make things more difficult. But either way, if Micah Parsons is at the Micah Parsons level that everybody's thinking about when they think about Micah Parsons, then the Packers are absolutely Super Bowl contenders. My concern is I think it's quite possible that Micah Parsons is maybe not going to be the same Micah Parsons that he has been on the Cowboys. Just because of a lot of stuff I'm hearing about injury, with his what AC4 or what I forget the name of the. It's like some letters and a number sprain in his back. And I'm no doctor, but I do know back injuries when it comes to the NFL can be lingering and they can cause massive fucking problems. And they can basically like Geno Atkins, one of the one of the, if not the most impactful pass rusher the Bengals have ever had in their history, and one of the greatest pass rushing defensive tackles of all time, frankly. He suddenly fell off a cliff because of a back injury that just, it didn't stop him from playing football, but it stopped him from being that same level of productive. So I'm not saying that's going to happen right now with Micah Parsons, but, the back injury could make the ramp-up period for him take a little bit longer than you'd want. And then on top of that, it's when does that back injury start becoming something that he can't just, take cortisol shot, or not cortisol, that's the wrong fucking word, whatever the thing he's injecting into his back to, make him be able to get through the game.
Steroids?
No, it's not. It's not steroids. It's like some sort of painkiller thing. I forget exactly what it's called. But he's taking those injections to be able to play games. And so if he's got to take injections to make his back function for games, even if he's playing really well, if he's got to do that at 26, that's a problem, guys. That's a big problem. That's probably why Jerry Jones wanted to trade him, because he's probably concerned, and possibly rightfully so, that Micah Parsons might not be that Micah Parsons for much longer. And so you know how everybody criticizes teams for not when the Bengals when there's been talk about the Bengals trading Trey Hendrickson, like this year there was a lot of talk about if the Bengals trade Trey Hendrickson, they're probably not going to get a first round pick out of it. They're probably going to get like a second and a third, and that's just because he's a little older, and you just don't know what his production is going to be like now that he's over 30 and everything like that. Despite the evidence that like edge rushers play well into their 30s all the time, but at the same time, like that the perception is that his value diminishes to some extent, and that affects his trade value. And so teams get slammed all the time for not capitalizing, for not getting rid of players when they should be getting rid of players, and getting rid of players when all of their value is basically gone anyway. And so I think Jerry Jones. He has the
band of a cherry.
Maybe not. Like, I mean, he does seem to be pretty bad as an owner, but this might be a smart move. Like, if he genuinely believes that Micah Parsons' back injury is going to be a long-term problem, then maybe trading him now is the right move. And yeah, it's even possible that maybe you like destroyed the chances that you had in the 2025 season. But I'm gonna throw up my power rankings here again. I had the Cowboys at 17. Okay, now I know Mikey had the Cowboys at 9, and I know like me putting the Cowboys at 17 is probably a bit of a hot take before the Micah Parsons trade, but I personally think that the Cowboys were not winning the Super Bowl this year. It just wasn't happening. So
Absolutely.
Do what?
Absolutely. They were never in the Super Bowl window.
Right. Even with Micah Parsons, even with a healthy Micah Parsons, I don't think the Cowboys were winning the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. So if Jerry Jones thinks that there's a long-term problem with Micah Parsons, then trade him and get the best that you can. And I will say, Micah Parsons is a Cowboys fan. Like, he is loves the Cowboys. I can't imagine Micah Parsons said anything that genuinely made Jerry Jones think less of him, because Micah Parsons loves the Cowboys. That's his favorite team. He adores the Cowboys. It's a dream to be playing for them. So I almost wonder, and this is a bit of conspiracy theory, okay? Let's pump the brakes a little bit, and I'll just tell you this is a conspiracy theory. I don't have any evidence of this, but this is just my thought process. I wonder if Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones have been more more talkative with each other than they're letting on, and maybe Micah Parsons was like, Jerry, I got to be completely honest with you, like, this back injury thing is becoming a problem, and I just don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to be like this crazy asset for the Cowboys. So I could see, because I'd do the same thing, right? Like, I could see Micah Parsons telling Jerry Jones, "Hey, trade me for all the value I have right now, because this is the most my value's ever going to be because of my back injury. Trade me now, and I'll cherish the time that I got to spend as a Dallas Cowboy. If the Packers ever, or if the team you trade me to ever cuts me, then I can come back to the Cowboys on like a veteran, on like a small veteran contract or something like that. But the only reason I speculate that is because that's what I would do, right? If I now, maybe I don't know what I would do because I didn't put in the work to become an NFL player, but I feel like, because of how much I love the Bengals, which is a personal problem. It is bad for my mental health. But because of how much I love the Bengals, I believe that if I got to that point where I was an all-pro player who was the reason why the Bengals were Super Bowl contenders, or just this big generational type of player, and then I was getting to the point where I'm feeling my body, and I'm hey, my body's wearing down way faster, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to keep up this level of play. I would go talk to Mike Brown. I'm hey, I hate to tell you this, but I just don't think I'm going to be that level of just insanity anymore. So maybe you should trade me for the value that I have because I want to see the Bengals win a Super Bowl even if I'm not on the team. So why don't you trade me? And then maybe I can come back later on like a veteran deal or something like that, you know. And this is pure conspiracy theory speculation. I'm not saying that's what Micah Parsons really did. I'm just saying I could see it because that's what I would do, you know.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Micah Parsons. I hate the Cowboys. But Micah Parsons, I ain't gonna lie. I actually loved watching him play, man. Like Micah, like bro, I was so sad because Micah Parsons was one of my favorite. Is still one of my favorite players in the league. But then when he got traded, I was like, oh shoot, now I don't gotta painfully root against Micah Parsons now.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's on one of the more likable teams in the NFL, which is the Packers. So, I mean, that's nice. I never had any personal feelings about Micah Parsons one way or the other. Like, yeah, he's a good player, but I don't know. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But
I just liked him because he was able to win us a game last year.
Yeah. So yeah, Micah Parsons. I think shakes up the NFL for sure. Like the Micah Parsons trade really changes the landscape of the NFL. For me, it's because the Cowboys are completely off the map now, and if it works out, it could be, you know, the Packers could be one of those like, you know, like I said, one of those top 5, top 6 teams that is like the real Super Bowl conversation. And then Mikey, you know, is more or less kind of saying the same thing, but you know, I think, you know, a bit more of a jump for the Packers and a bit more of a jump down for the Cowboys. So I think that's where we're kind of standing with it. But the other thing that we need to do in this episode is predict our team's win-loss records. So we gave you last week. We gave like what was it like ceiling and floors for the NFL teams. But this week we're going to focus on just our teams, and we're going to give like our official prediction on like what we think is going to be the final result of the season. So, Mikey, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like Bengals and like so we're gonna go game by game, with the Bengals and the Saints schedule, and so I guess do you want to do the Saints first or do you want to do the Bengals first? Because I'll give my opinion on the Saints record too, but it's going to be more about your opinion.
I mean, we can do the Saints just to get it over with, you know, so y'all can laugh at, you know, me, you know.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and get this switched over so we can see the so everybody can see the schedule on the screen. All right. There we go. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Well, actually, I can probably what I can do is okay. And we're gonna put you a little more like right here, and we're gonna put me a little more like down here, and that way we can see the schedule, and also we're not getting in the way or anything like that. So, all right. So this is the Saints schedule. So we got home. Right, home openers week 1 against the Cardinals. So, what's your prediction for that one, Mikey?
So, like, I could see this game going either way. I could see a world where the Saints do actually pull out the win. You know, you're at home, got the home crowd. You know, like you got a new coaching staff. They're going to want to show them up. But I could also see a world where, you know, you haven't been able to stop running quarterbacks in the past. You know, I understand you got different coaching staff, but it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They always run the ball over us. And unfortunately, that might happen again. I do got the Cardinals winning by a touchdown. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think, you know, it's going to be like a 30-23 type of game. But I unfortunately do have the Cardinals pulling it out. But I wouldn't be like, if the Saints were to win the game, obviously one, I'll be happy. But I wouldn't be like that Home Alone kid where I'm like, so, the Cardinals win.
All right. I gotta be honest with you. My prediction is that the Saints are actually going to take this game.
Okay.
Because
I mean, I'll take
part of it is because I'm not very high on the Cardinals at all.
Yay.
But, so are you predicting a Saints loss and I'm predicting a win?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, what I think what matters here is your prediction. So I could probably get a little text counter up here.
All right.
There we go. Okay. So we'll just, and this looks like trash, but I didn't think to do something ahead of time, so we'll just have this little score down here. So right now, Mikey's got the Saints starting 0-1 on the season. The following week, you are going to host the San Francisco 49ers. So you get to stay home and have another West Coast team come to Louisiana. So what do you think happens in this one?
This might be an upset to some people, but this one I got the Saints winning, okay? And here's why. You just suffered, in my prediction world, you just suffered a not-so-nice loss at home against the Cardinals week 1. But one thing about the Saints, they didn't do it too much last season, but one thing about the Saints, they usually bounce really right back up. I don't think they're going to dwindle on the loss if you take last season out of account. I don't think they're going to dwindle on the loss that much. They're going to be like, okay, new game, new day. And also the Saints, ironically, they do better against the good teams than they do the bad teams. You know what I'm saying? It's like for some reason, like even last year, like we didn't really beat them. I mean, we beat the Cowboys, who are at the time a good team. They've kind of held there. But like the past few years, the Saints have actually handled some of the good teams in the league. So, and I think the 49ers, I'm not going to say like they're a great team, but I think they're a team the Saints can beat. Brock Purdy's going to have to beat our defensive line. And I'm sorry, Brock, I don't think you're going to do it, man. You got Chase Young playing against his former team. You got, I think we have probably one of the most underrated receiving corners in all football. I think the Saints get this win.
Okay. I'll have. I will also take the opposite on this one. So I think I think the 49ers. I think the 49ers might be a little bit better out the gate than people are expecting. I see the 49ers having a typical later in the season collapse type of thing. But I do think early in the season they're not going to be they're going to be pretty good. So that was not what I meant to do. Yeah, I think early in the season the 49ers are going to be pretty good though. So I think especially coming off the win over the Cardinals and maybe getting a little bit too rested up because you're staying at home for a week and you had a relatively easier game against the Cardinals. I'm gonna say, I see this one going to the 49ers. So we've both got them at 1-1 right now for what it's worth.
All right.
All right, moving on. You do have to go. You do have to travel. Although you get a little bit of extra time to adjust for the jet lag because you're playing at 4:05 against the Seahawks in Seattle. So week 3, what happens?
Now the Saints, the past few times we played Seattle, I think the Saints have won 3 or 4 times in a row, and I think we continue that streak, man. Look, Sam Darnold, I don't see him putting up what he did last year in Minnesota. I just don't. I think you're playing Sam Darnold, you're playing the Seahawks, who realistically have an older receiving core, well, not really an older receiving core, but Cooper Kupp is your number 2 guy behind JSN. JSN's good and all. I think he will get his catches or whatnot, but we got that boy Kool-Aid locking that down. We got London Taylor putting straps on Seattle. Give me the Saints to win this game in front of the 12th man crowd.
Okay. Nah. I think Sam Darnold is going to have a pretty good season, and I think especially in Seattle where the Seahawks typically are pretty tough to play. I think the Saints are going to be in for a rough day.
Yeah, it's not very nice of you.
Yeah. So you got him at 2-1 right now.
Yay.
Fair enough. I got him at 1-2. So the following week they're going to Buffalo, play the Bills. What do you think happens?
Saints win.
Why?
Oh, want my reasoning?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because like I said earlier, for some reason, and I don't know why this is, the Saints always play good against the great teams and the good teams. And like before, you're like, look, the Saints actually almost beat the Chiefs last year. So like the Saints, like they always play the tough teams tough, but then always lose to the bad teams. And I think the Bills are gonna be like kind of like how the Cowboys were last year. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, we got this game in the bag, man. The Saints, they ain't on nothing, man. Like they're basically gonna do what the Cowboys did, really, where they just got snuck. And I think that's gonna cause the Saints to pull up the upset. Give me, man, I'm rocking with my black and gold boys, man. Give me the Saints to upset Buffalo.
All right. No.
Okay.
No, they're gonna lose. Why? Because they're gonna lose.
Okay.
Like, because it's the Bills, and the Bills are pretty good, and the Saints are, the Saints. I just don't see how they're gonna compete. Like, I just don't see the matchup. Barring some major injuries on Buffalo, it feels like in Buffalo. I don't see, other than the fact that like earlier in the season, not right at the beginning, but like the Bills kind of tend to slump a little bit early, like mid early season. So I mean, maybe you could catch them on an off week, but I don't see the matchup. So you've currently got the Saints at 3-1, which is I think would be a headline, by the way. Like every sports news outlet would be talking about it, and you'd be coming on the podcast, and you'd be like geeking, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, we're doing so good this year!" That would be pretty impressive, is what I'm saying. If they start 3-1,
Yay.
Which is actually kind of funny because the following week they play the New York Giants.
Make that 4-1, bro.
Okay.
Because the Giants ain't on nothing.
I am actually going to predict the Giants win this game too.
Well, screw you.
Well, no, I'm gonna predict the Giants win this game. Partially, like I don't know if you can have a trap game for a team that is going into this game 1-3 based off of my prediction. I don't know if you can have a trap game, but I feel like New York has some underrated pieces that I think will catch some teams off like by surprise. I don't think it's gonna yield a whole lot, but Cam Scatabo, their new running back, I kind of vibe with him a little bit. I could see him taking a team like the Saints kind of off guard when they're trying to prepare for a team I think will be at least somewhat competitive in the New England Patriots, who y'all will be hosting the following week. So I'm kind of getting weirdly enough, again, for a team I don't think is going to be very good, I'm getting trap game vibes from the Giants game. So I'm gonna stick with my so far pure reverse of what you've said, and I've got them at 1-4. And then, like I said, the following week they go to the they stay in New Orleans to host the Patriots. What do you think?
Man, I just noticed Saints got a lot of home games throughout the season. Crazy.
Yeah, 4 of their first 6 games are at home.
So
5 of their first 7.
So yeah, we hope the Patriots. However, I do think this is where our winning streak comes to an end. I think the Patriots, I think they have a little bit more talent on the offensive side of the ball than us, I'll say. I think, with Stephon Diggs coming in, with Javon Henderson, he's promising rookie running back. You got some of the receivers that I really like Demario Douglas, and they got a good tight end, Hunter Henry. So I think the Patriots, I think they were going to come in hot, young, and I think they're going to be hot like a Little Caesars pizza, and they're going to, cook us. But, it's fine. But I think they win.
Yeah, I don't know about hot like Little Caesars pizza, but I think I generally kind of agree with what you're saying there about the Patriots being ready. So I would say I also think that the Patriots are going to win this game. So we finally agree on a Saints game. Unfortunately for you, it's a Saints loss.
Man, we're what 4-2, man. I'm chilling.
Well, according to me, you're 1-5.
I don't care. We're gonna default to my perspective, okay?
Well, I mean, it is about your perspective. So according to you, you're 4-2 right now.
Hey, I could have the Saints 6-0 right now, but you're lucky.
I'm lucky. It doesn't affect me.
I don't know. Can we move on to the Bears game?
Yeah, Bears game. Go ahead.
Now look, you know what I would love for?
What?
I would love for the Saints to drop 81 points on the Chicago Bears, and after every single point, the camera pans over to Dennis Allen, and Dennis Allen's just doing some crazy stuff. Like I'm telling, like he's ready to do some nasty stuff. That's what I hope happens, bro. But unfortunately, I don't have it that way. I think the Bears. I think they're probably. If there's one game that I'm confident that we probably lose, it's probably this game. As much as I hate to say it, and yes, that's including the Buffalo Bills. I think the Bears. Look, they got a cute offensive mind over there in Ben Johnson. Got some cute offensive plays going on, and I think it's going to trick the Saints. I ain't gonna lie. The Saints are one of the younger teams in the league, but the Bears are too. Caleb Williams. The Bears got one of the best receiving duos in the league with Odunze and DJ Moore, maybe, depending on how they work out. And I think the Bears' defense is nice, man. So I think the Bears I think they're better than the Saints this game. So give me the Bears to win.
All right, you ready for a hot take?
The Saints win by 81 points?
No, you're not gonna like my take.
Oh
no. Dennis Allen revenge game.
I hope you step on a splinter.
I could see out of pure spite, I could see Dennis Allen coming in and just because he's already got the book on Spencer Rattler. I could see Dennis Allen coming into this game and having the perfect scheme dialed up basically to have Spencer Rattler basically have one of the worst games he's ever had in his entire football career up to this point, and basically fool everybody into thinking that he is a better coach than he really is once again.
I mean, Dennis Allen is 1-0 in revenge games.
Move that up a little bit, I think.
I mean, shoot. I don't know if you remember this, but in Dennis Allen's first year with the Saints, we were playing the Raiders. Obviously being Dennis Allen's former team and whatnot. And Derek Carr was starting quarterback for the Raiders at that time, ironically enough. And the Saints beat them 24-0. So Dennis Allen's like one of the best coaches when it comes to revenge games.
So Jim's not a big fan of your prediction so far.
Well, Jim, you go suck it.
You hear that, Jim? He said you could suck it.
I don't care, bro.
All right. Nope, not about the Raiders. Okay. So you got them at 4-3 right now in week 7. So Tampa Bay, hosting Tampa Bay at 4:05 p.m. on Sunday, October 26th. What do you think happens?
Yeah. I think Tampa Bay wins, man. It's it's going to be a tough environment. I understand we're at home, but division games go either way. The thing with mainly, it happens across the league, but mainly in the NFC South that I've noticed, it doesn't matter how good or how bad a team is. you will most likely split unless you're Atlanta and you get swept a couple times. But other than that, you will most likely split with everybody. Like, even last year, like, the Panthers were one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they still found a way to beat Atlanta, and they almost beat Tampa Bay one time. So, like, division games can go either way. However, here, I think Tampa Bay, I think they get the better of us, but it's all right. We'll see them later down the line. But here, our first divisional game of the season, by the way, and, yeah, I think it goes in the Bucs' favor.
So you got you're saying they're gonna go to 4-4 here?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim says the Saints would be lucky to win 5 all year.
And Jim will be lucky to have a mouth all year.
That was clunky.
I don't care.
Depressed Bengals fans though says Saints are going 17-0.
No. What you said?
Depressed Bengals fan says the Saints are going 17-0.
Depressed Bengals fan, I bless you.
And then losing in the divisional.
Great life.
And then losing in the divisional.
Well, okay. I hope you have a great life, but just not as great as other people, okay?
Okay. What you been drinking? All right. Buccaneers. Yeah, I think they're gonna lose to the Buccaneers. I think they're gonna get swept by the Buccaneers, but we'll talk about that later. So, at the midway point, more or less, Mikey's got him at 4-4, and I've got him at 1-7.
Oh.
Meaning never, ever, ever.
So you just think we're just going to do the 2020 Jaguar speed run?
Maybe.
Because you remember the Jaguars in 2020 started 1-0, then lost every game after that?
Yeah, actually, apparently. Because I'm just not convinced about any of these games for the Saints, except for the Cardinals game.
Keep that same energy. Yeah.
Well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I just I'm not feeling it for the Saints this year, and I hope for your sake that I'm wrong. I'm just trying to be realistic.
The Lord is my therapist.
Okay.
The Lord.
Rams in LA. What you got?
Okay. Replay the Rams in LA. Look. I've got nothing to back up the Saints winning this game. I'm going with the Rams. You know why? Because the Saints just can't beat the Rams, right? Ever since you see what you see, and I'm about to be a conspiracy theory myself. The no call is a curse because for whatever reason, when the Saints lost that game, we've only beaten the Rams one time. And that time we beat them was in 2022 when they ain't got their quarterback. We ain't got our quarterback. But I think everybody can unanimously agree Andy Dalton is a little bit better than Bryce Perkins, okay?
I think Andy Dalton's substantially better than Bryce Perkins, personally.
I was doing that. But Rams win. I just don't think the Saints really have a chance in this game. As much as I hate to say it. Look, I would love to beat the Rams by 185 points, but it's probably not going to happen.
So, for the first time this season, you've got them with a losing record now.
A little bit.
And on the flip side, who also thinks they're going to lose to the Rams, have them at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have them at 1-8.
Yeah.
Jim says 4-2 to 4-5. Suppose 5 players having season-ending injuries.
That's not very nice.
Well, I think he's talking about your prediction, not his.
But why? But why do we have to have 5 players get hurt? What you trying to root for that? Oh no!
All right. Panthers.
Panthers. Saints win. Get on my head. Saints win. You pathetic kitty cat.
I don't think so. I think they lose to the Panthers.
Is he serious? Okay, so yeah. 47-10.
47. Okay, all right. I don't
remember. Just remember those numbers. 47-10.
You'll have to remember for me.
Okay.
Okay. So you got them at 5-5 right now, heading into the bye.
Yeah.
I have them at 1-9.
Shut your mouth.
All right. So after the bye, they are going to host the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta, I think, will beat us one time this year, but we'll get them the second time.
Okay. Well, Mikey, don't kill me. Don't kill me. But I'll be honest with you. I'm just being real with you, Mikey. I think you guys are going to fucking obliterate the Falcons in this game. I do. I think I have virtually zero faith in the Falcons this year at all. And I believe the Saints are going to finish third in the NFC South ahead of the Falcons.
Okay, Kyle, you finally learned. That Atlanta is just a big pile of feces.
It's Raheem Morris, dude.
Yeah, bro, Raheem Morris is literally just the new Dennis Allen. Like, probably not as bad, because if he apologizes to the Saints, then okay, we'll have that conversation. But for now, yeah, he's probably the new Dennis Allen. He's a great defensive mind, but when it comes to head coach, man, he the butt cheek, bro.
Right. So, I actually think that this game is going to get Raheem Morris fired.
Oh yeah.
So, because I think going into this game, the Falcons are going to be kind of like on the edges of being like playoff contenders, and then I think you guys are going to stomp them in this game, and it's pretty much going to kill like it's basically going to be approaching miracle territory that they could make the playoffs after this game.
Okay.
So that's my perspective on this one. So hey, I gave you another win.
Yay.
So they are now what is that? 2-9 or 2-8?
I don't know, but we're 5-6 in my predictions.
Yeah, so that's 2-9. I've got them at this point. You've got them at 5-6. So, obviously yours is a better situation than mine. Then they're going to Miami, which is not very far, but they're still going to Miami.
Going to Miami, you say? I think the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL. As you remember my power rankings.
I do recall you saying that.
But I do think they will beat us because one thing I will say the Dolphins have that the Saints don't. Dolphins do have some speed demons at wide receiver, and I just don't see anybody on the Saints really covering them. And they got a fast running back and a somewhat fast quarterback if he's running to the hospital. But yeah, I think the Dolphins. I think they win this game. This is gonna be like one of their 5 wins this year if they get that lucky.
Okay, so oddly enough, I don't think the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL, as we discussed last week in depth. And yet, I do think that the Saints will win this game.
Oh yeah.
Just because I think it's a matchup thing. I think the Dolphins will not be. I think coming off of the win against Atlanta, I think you're going to have a really confident. You're going to have I think Spencer Rattler, but based off of the way I've had things going so far, I think in this game you're going to have Spencer Rattler finally kind of shaking off the demons from that Chicago game, like that disastrous Chicago game. And I think from this point on in the season, he's going to get substantially better.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean? That means I got them at 3-9. You got them at 5-7.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then the second game against Tampa Bay, what you got?
Now this game the Saints win, and you know why? Because look, man, the Saints they don't really get swept against anybody really. You know, like honestly, they got swept by Tampa Bay last year, but the Saints, you know, they were a couple plays from accidentally beating Tampa Bay last week of the season. And to be honest, we probably would have beaten Tampa Bay if we didn't answer the phone call. And then, so yeah, I think the Saints win this game. You know, Tampa Bay, they still little bro. You know, I understand they may have won the division 4 years in a row, but they still little bro to us, man. So give me the Saints to win.
That's kind of wild. 'Cause, like you talk about Super Bowls all the time, but they both have more Super Bowls than you and have won one more recently than you.
They did.
Fair enough. Okay. That's
I don't retract my statement.
okay. I just don't see them being little bro, but okay.
They little bro in week 14. They little bro.
Well, little bro's gonna beat your ass this week. So, in Tampa Bay, I don't see it. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna be a massive blowout. I kind of just said that, but I'm not actually saying it's gonna be a massive blowout. But I don't think it's gonna turn out well for the Saints. Despite an admirable performance from Spitzer Rattler, I think the Saints defense just completely collapses in this game, and the Buccaneers put up like 40 plus.
Interesting.
So what that's got me at you're at 6-7, I'm at like 3-11.
Oh.
So Panthers in New Orleans.
Panthers, they poverty, so yeah. About, what is that? Like, I'm trying to do the math in my head.
It's the pot calling the kettle black.
What?
So that's the pot calling the kettle black?
I don't get it.
It's a phrase just saying, you called the Panthers poverty. I'm like, coming from a Saints fan? Okay.
Okay, buddy. Well, hold on, I'm trying to do the math. Okay, so 5 touchdowns by Spencer Rattler plus 9 rushing touchdowns by Kamara. Yeah, the Saints win.
Agreed. I had him losing the last game, but I think they'll pull ahead and win this one.
Yeah, to get the brooms out, we sweeping this year.
Man, I got you splitting. I got you splitting, but fair enough. Jets in week 16. What you got?
Jets, suck. Rack it up for the Saints.
All right.
You know why? Because they suck. You know why? Because Justin Fields, man, that boy trash. Garbage. Sorry. Demario Davis is going to eat that man for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And maybe even dessert, too. And an appetizer. Let's say it's going to be painful if you're a Jets fan.
I don't know about that, but I do think the Saints win this game.
Yay.
So, I believe that... God, what do I got at this point? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I got him at 4 wins. You got him at 7 wins right now.
Or 8.
Oh, right, 8. Yeah. So I think I actually have him at 5 wins. You got him at 8.
Yeah, I mean, you got us beating Atlanta, Cardinals, and
Cardinals. That was it. Yeah, I got you at 5 wins. You got him at 8.
So it was the 15. Cardinals, Atlanta.
Jim disagrees with your predictions so far. Just so you know.
And Jim is not on this podcast.
No, but he comments a lot, and it's fun.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, right? J.J. McCarthy. I don't be talking, with a guy that hasn't even had quarterback play football yet. So.
Yeah, but he's still better than any quarterback you have on your roster.
No, he's not.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's gonna. I think J.J. McCarthy's gonna be pretty good.
And maybe Jay Kaner, since apparently he's back on the team now. But
I think he's better than Spencer Rattler.
No, he's not.
I think he is.
No, not even close.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so Titans, week 17.
Man, give me the Saints to win that game, bruh. Man, you're going against a rookie quarterback, probably the worst roster in the NFL. Man, Saints win, and I don't even think the game's going to be close. Give me the Saints to win.
All right. I think it's probably going to be a little closer than you think it's going to be, but I also think the Saints are going to win. So, big push at the end of the season. I mean, I got y'all at you got them at 9-7 right now, which is to me kind of wild. But I got them at I forget how many losses, but I got them at 6 wins right now.
Interesting.
I think 6-10. Is that where I have them at right now?
Maybe.
I think I have them at 6-10. So week 18, wrapping up the season in Atlanta. You got them at 9-7, so theoretically they're potentially going to make the playoffs if they win this game.
Yeah, man. Look, I did my end of season predictions for every team, and I actually had this game being the battle for the South. I think the Bucs will be in it too, but I think the Bucs would really need us to lose and stuff. It's like it's like the tiebreaker situation, But man, I think Atlanta, they're gonna enter this game at home as like 15 or 53 charged bowls, and by halftime, all those bowls are gonna be checked out. Give me the Saints to not only win, but it's gonna be 41-17, right? Julian Blackmon is going to get an interception, return it to the 1-yard line, and get this. The Saints are going to run up the score and score a touchdown with Kendre Miller at the goal line. And get this, the best part, in the post-game press conference, Kellen Moore is not going to apologize. Saints win.
All right. Hey, Mikey.
What?
I got the Falcons winning this game.
Okay, screw you.
Yeah. So for me, this is the Falcons.
Yeah, hold up. Before you say anything, Jim, why are you saying rather likely season? Why are you predicting injuries in this stuff, right?
Well, I was a little confused by that too, but not for the same reason you're confused, Mikey. But more so, like, how do you predict, like, what do you mean likely season injury by week 12 or 13? Like how? Like by what metrics are you using to say, oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen? Like what? Why? What? Why do you think
likely season? Well, first of all, that's mean and cruel and that should be banned from football entirely. But two, what?
Well, I don't think. I think he's just predicting it. I don't think he's rooting for it.
Okay, well, even if that, yeah, I think I think JJ McCarthy, I think his season's going to be over in week 8 because, he didn't play last year. Like, what? Is that what you're going off of? Like, what the heck?
I don't get why. I guess that's my thing. I don't get what the logic is as to why he's going to be injured by week 12 or 13. But,
Knocking on wood, that does not happen. If it does happen, I'm gonna find your address. Anyways.
Even 7-9 looks like a miracle. Well, 7-9 would be a miracle, because there's more games in the season than that. But I'm sure he's talking about, like, I think when he commented that was at the time it was. So Mikey's got him going 10-7. I got the Falcons on that miracle playoff push that I talked about earlier. I got them beating the Saints, and then praying for everything to go their way, and then it not going their way. The Falcons do not make the playoffs, but I got the Falcons firing Raheem Morris and then rallying around whoever the next guy is and almost making the playoffs.
Are they going to hire Dennis Allen from the Bears?
Why would they? What? I don't think they could possibly do that. The Bears would have to fire Dennis Allen.
No, they could just interview him and want to hire him.
Not at the end of the season. Not as like an interim head coach.
No, I'm talking about at the end of the season.
I know. I'm talking about the interim head coach comes in after Raheem Morris, and then the Falcons kind of have like a resurgence after that and almost make the playoffs, but and beat you guys in week 18 because your season's basically over. But they're thinking like, hey, like, I mean, there's a 5% chance we can make the playoffs, but maybe we could do it. So they beat you guys and then don't make the playoffs anyway, kind of like what happened to us last year. But I'm thinking that's going to happen to the Falcons this year.
That was a good game.
All right, so we've been going for an hour, so I'll try to go a little faster through the Bengals predictions here. But Mikey's final prediction for the Saints is 10-7. So
and we beat the Cardinals in the wild card, but lose to the Seahawks in divisional.
And I got them not in the playoffs or even close to the playoffs. So
Well, you're wrong.
But I don't think I am. But okay.
That's why you played the games. You play to win the game.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't think the Saints are going to win the games.
And that's where you're wrong.
Okay. All right, so week 1, Cleveland Browns. This feels like killing two birds with one stone, because obviously we have a big problem with the Browns every year, and we have a big problem with week 1 every year. But I think that the Bengals are locked in. This is the first offseason that Joe Burrow's really had where he's not like rehabbing from something or trying to work his way back from some sort of like setback or something like that. Like this is just Joe Burrow and the offense and whatever locked in. Yeah, there was some drama with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and right up to the wire there was some drama with Trey Hendrickson. We'll see exactly how that defense is, but I'm not too worried about the defense against this Browns offense at all. Frankly, I think the defense did, in theory, get better. You got some fresh faces. I think that they could do some potential damage as they warm up. And I think the Browns are a good game to warm up with. And the Bengals, the real matchup, and actually Thomas called me earlier today. We were talking about this. But the real matchup here is going to be that Bengals offense against that Browns defense. Because the Browns defense should be pretty good. But I think the Bengals offense is going to be fucking on another planet this year. So I think the Bengals take the win against Cleveland week 1.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right. Week 2, Jacksonville coming home and hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be good this year. Frankly, I don't see why. I just don't get it. Like I'm out on Trevor Lawrence at this point. Like it's not because of Trevor Lawrence. I just think the Jaguars have done a terrible job of developing him, and maybe he ends up being one of those guys who has a career resurgence somewhere else or something like that. But like I think it's this Jaguars experiment is done. So I'm gonna give him the win against the Jaguars as well.
Yeah. Hold on. We're playing the Jaguars. Is this game like at home or on the road?
It's at home.
I could see this game going either way, but I'm gonna give it to the Bengals.
Okay. Fair enough. Week 3 at Minnesota. Now, honestly, this is the first game so far that I'm really kind of hesitant about. I'll give this win to the Vikings because the Bengals kind of have this thing where they're real. Like the trap game is a real thing with them. Now I'm not saying the difference here is that I don't think the Vikings are going to be bad. Like I said, I do believe in J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a good quarterback. And I think the Vikings are going to be a little more impressive this year than some people think they're going to be. So I'm going to actually take the Vikings in this one. Especially going to Minnesota and having to play on their home turf. I think this is just going to be a recipe for the Bengals to get their first loss of the season here.
Yeah, I think this comes down to two things, right? This is week 3, right?
Week 3.
All right, so the Vikings still won't have Jordan Addison, which I think is kind of big for the Bengals. But here's why I think the Bengals are going to lose this game. Y'all don't have a corner worth mentioning guarding Justin Jefferson, and he's going to tear you up a new one before you even know what happened.
That's true. That's very true. Jim says Vikings will beat the Bengals at home, and Jim, you're in like-minded company here because all three of us think that the Vikings are going to beat the Bengals in Week 3. So I'm not saying the Bengals couldn't beat them, but Mikey brings up a really good point. Like, I feel pretty good about the Bengals this year, but one thing that I don't feel good about is the secondary, and the secondary is going to be if there's like a major weakness on this Bengals team, that's it. That's secondary. Just the safeties are I don't see the vision with the safeties. We're still banking on Cam Taylor, Britt, and DJ Turner being the guys. Now, I will say there's been some talk lately about the Bengals potentially having some interest in Justin Simmons and Jabril Peppers. So that could help, but I still don't think that's going to stop Justin Jefferson.
Right.
Now, at the same time, the Vikings are not going to stop Jamar Chase. So it's going to be an interesting game at least.
Yeah, but it's like, I just don't look. Even if y'all sign, like, y'all can sign like 3 cornerbacks that are decent, and I still think y'all probably can get rocked by Justin Jefferson by himself.
I think this is going to be one of those classic, recent types of Bengals games where they get, they have like a 40, 50 point outing from the offense, and the defense just does even worse than that. And it's like really close at the end of the game, but then like the Vikings take it in overtime just because the defense couldn't stop a fucking like a wet paper bag, which is not the way to say that phrase, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Likewise.
In that particular game, I think we're going to see a resurgence of the 2024 Bengals defense, which is going to make me very sad. But luckily, I think in Week 4, I think the defense does a little bit better, and you're going to see, I think, basically a repeat of our Week 17 game against the Broncos from last year. So it's going to be in Denver. It's going to be on Monday Night Football, but Joe Burrow is a primetime fucking machine, and I think the Broncos' biggest strength is their defense, but I think the Bengals' offense will rise to the challenge. And I think this will be an opportunity for the Bengals' defense to get some confidence back against a good offense, but not Justin Jefferson, right? So I think the Bengals bounce back with a win over the Broncos.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pretty much agree with you. I just don't think like the Broncos really. I think the Broncos could win this game. I think they could, but I'm gonna pick the opposite.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at you at all for that, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess you can't be mad at me.
All right, so Bengals Lions. Now I think this might be the Bengals' biggest, like toughest game that they play all year.
Might be.
Unless they make it to the Super Bowl, which I think is on the table. I think it's possible.
Same.
But so I think for this game, I think Bengals Lions. So I think Aiden Hutchinson is gonna have a pretty big impact, but I also really believe in Amarius Mims, and I think Amarius Mims could potentially really kind of neutralize Aiden Hutchinson. And then on the other side of the ball, like the Lions have an explosive offense, but I could see Jared Goff being baited into some interceptions in this one. And if things go the way I think they really could go in this one, I think the Bengals take down the Lions.
Yeah, I think this game is gonna be kind of like the Vikings game. However, I do have y'all winning, but I think it's gonna be a game where it's like you gotta score at least 85 points to win. Now I'm being a little over dramatic, but it's gonna be that type of game where you gotta keep like if your offense even gets stopped one or two times, you're probably cooked. But I think the Bengals will win this game because I think the defense of your Bengals, I think they have a couple bright spots. Not a lot, maybe not even a little. But I think a couple things, a couple plays might go your way where the Bengals win, like I don't know, 105 to 103.
That's okay. Packers. So obviously, we just talked about the Packers earlier. Now this one's going to be in Lambeau, so that does make a bit of a difference. But here's the deal with the Packers. If Micah Parsons turns out like this whole season for the Packers is almost 100% dependent on Micah Parsons being the elite All Pro whatever et cetera that they thought they were getting when they traded for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my prediction's really going to be contingent on this. But I do think at least by week 6, Micah Parsons is still making a pretty significant impact for the Packers. And Packers and Bengals, like I hate the Packers. I don't actually hate the Packers, but I do hate the Packers, and the reason why is because every time we fucking play them, it's BS, and then we lose. Like it makes no sense half the time when we lose to the Packers, but we find the stupidest ways to lose to the Packers. Like the most recent time we played them, Evan McPherson and Mason Crosby combined for I think 5 missed field goals at the tail end of the game before Mason Crosby finally won it in overtime.
I remember
that was the dumbest fucking game. And then I remember Brett Favre's first game for the Packers. He came in for the injured Don Majkowski. And the Bengals were doing a pretty good job in that game. And then Brett Favre came in and let it come back and beat us. And it was just like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? And then the Bengals went on to be an absolutely embarrassing, pathetic piece of shit franchise for an entire decade, culminating with Achilles Smith, who me and Mikey were talking about earlier before the show started. But yeah, the Packers piss me off. But I do think they'll probably continue to piss me off. So I have the Packers taking this game.
Interesting. Yeah, I got the Packers winning too, man. I think the Bengals' offensive line's improved. I just don't think anybody on your offensive line can stop Micah Parsons, and that's okay. I don't think really anybody really in the NFL could really stop Micah Parsons unless you're Trevor Penning. But yeah, I think the Bengals. I think this might be a defensive game, but not a defensive game. Like I don't think this game is gonna be in the 30s or the 40s. But I think it might be like when y'all played them last time. It might be like a 25-22 type of game. But I got the Packers winning. I just don't think the Bengals really can stop Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons alone could probably beat Joseph.
Well, I will say if Micah Parsons, if his back injury turns out to be becoming more of a serious issue already by this time, then that will change my opinion entirely. I think the Bengals will easily take down the Packers. Because they basically have no defense without Micah Parsons. Okay, don't get me wrong. I think the Packers have a really good defense to complement Micah Parsons if he's playing well. But if they don't have Micah Parsons, then I think their defense is going to be kind of fucked, honestly.
Maybe.
It's but we'll see. Steelers, week 7. I think the Bengals are going to beat them.
I think the Steelers are going to beat them.
I don't. Because Aaron Rodgers is 42 fucking years old. Right?
41.
I don't care. for the longest time, the Bengals had Aaron Rodgers' number. Now, he did eventually beat us because of Mason fucking Crosby and Evan McPherson and that whole bullshit. But, you know, the Bengals don't exactly have a history of, like, having major problems with Aaron Rodgers. Like, for whatever reason, that was the one guy who they always seemed to, like, play well against. And now he's, like, you know, like a old senile man. And we just talked about Jerry Jones earlier. So, you know, I don't get it with Pittsburgh this year. I really don't. With this one being prime time in Cincinnati, like, you really right now where we stand right now. Maybe this changes by week 7. I don't know, but right now where we stand, you cannot convince me that the Bengals aren't going to win this game. Like it's gonna be. I think the Bengals might win by a lot in this game. To be honest with you.
All right. Well, you just said I can't convince you, so I'm not even gonna waste my breath. But I think Steelers win.
All right. Well, you're wrong, but you know you're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to have your wrong opinion.
Okay.
Okay. Jets week 8, Bengals win, and you know. I could explain why, but we're running a little like what are we at, like an hour and a half at this point, so I probably want to speed through some of these, and I feel like the Jets are worth speeding through, which I think is what Chase Brown is going to do to them.
Yeah, Bengals win.
Yeah, Bengals win. 6. I got him at 6-2. Mikey, have you been keeping up with your record prediction?
Yeah, hold up. 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 5-3 now.
5-3. So we're only off by one game. But yeah, I got the Bengals at 6-2. You got them at 5-3. All right, fair enough. Versus the Bears, I also think they'll win that one.
I do too.
I don't think Dennis Allen's going to be looking for a revenge game against us. So I'm in general, I'm not very high on the Bears. Like I said, the main reason I had them beating the Saints is because, like, I don't really believe in the Saints either. And
so you have to bring up the Saints, bro. We already passed the Saints.
No, because I was I was saying good things about the Bears earlier. I wanted to explain that I'm still not very high on the Bears, despite what I said earlier. So
okay.
All right, so I got them beating the Bears, and they'll move ahead to 7-2.
Okay.
And then we got a bye week in week 10, and then we turn around and head to Pittsburgh.
Get the brooms out, Steelers winning.
All right, well, I agree with getting the brooms out because the Bengals are winning, and the Bengals are going to sweep the Pittsburgh Steelers this year because the Steelers are not going to be very good. So you got the Steelers sweeping us?
Yep.
I mean, you can stick your head in a toilet if you want.
What?
I don't fucking care. Give yourself sepsis.
Okay. You can step on a bed of toenails.
I mean, I would rather do that than witness what you're talking about right now.
Okay.
All right. Week 12 versus the New England Patriots. I feel like I'm a little higher on the Patriots than some people are this year. And it also kind of feels like a trap game, like a legit trap game. And that's not to say that the Patriots are bad. That's to say the Bengals are about to go through a fucking gauntlet. And I think they might overlook the Patriots a little bit, especially at home 1 p.m. after going to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. So I think the Patriots are going to catch them off a little off guard here. Bengals drop this one. It's going to be 8-3.
Yeah, I think the Patriots win this one too, which puts them at 6-5. I think it's probably going to come down to the defense again, man. Like, I think the Patriots have a sneaky good offense, but yeah, I think it's going to come down to that. Right. And also, the Patriots kind of just have the Bengals number the last few years.
Yeah, they kind of do, which is annoying. But another team that has, honestly had our number, but I've explained a lot about why I think those numbers are a little overblown, but it does keep happening, so you can't ignore it. Is the Baltimore Ravens. But I do think on Thursday Night Football in Baltimore, get a little bit of that primetime vibe in. I do think, I'm being honest with you, Mikey. Like, I know a bunch of people think that Lamar Jackson's going to beat us again, but tell you the truth, I also think that. I think the Ravens are going to win this game.
I think the Ravens win this game too.
Yeah, I just think that quick turnaround from the from two tough games against Pittsburgh and New England, I don't think they're going to be able to meet Baltimore where they're at in that one. Now I haven't looked at the Ravens schedule, so maybe it might change for them too. But I think the Ravens take that one.
Tough schedule. I'm telling you that right now.
I mean in that particular section, but turning things around, week 14 in Buffalo. You were talking about how you guys can't beat the Bills. Well, we can. We do it all the time.
I never said that.
I thought you said that. Didn't you say something about like you were like, oh, we're gonna beat the Bills and that's gonna be crazy or something?
No, when I said we beat the Bills, I said it's because we always somehow do well against the good teams.
Okay. Well, we always beat the Bills. At least the Josh Allen Bills. So I think that we're going to continue to beat the Josh Allen Bills, and we're going to be 9-4.
Yeah, I think you beat the Bills, and I got you at 7-6.
Okay. Week 15 against the Ravens. I do think we win this game. I think, like I said for years that I thought the one thing that Lou Anarumo did well was I thought he always brought a decent game plan for the Ravens. Didn't always execute it perfectly, but I always thought he had a pretty good idea of what to do against Lamar Jackson. I think Al Golden takes that, and I think he implements it better because I think Al Golden's a better coach than Lou Anarumo ever was. So, that plus I think, Joe Burrow is, going to be ready to go off after losing 2 weeks ago to the Ravens. So I'm going to give this one to the Bengals, and that will be they will be at 10-4 at this point.
Yeah, I think you eat the banana split and you don't get the brooms out. As I got y'all splitting with the Ravens, I just think I think the Ravens, I think they're getting a little bit too much hype, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I know I had them at my number one team, but a lot of people saying that they're gonna be in the Super Bowl or whatnot. I'm like,
Which is crazy to me that the team that you have at number one in your power rankings is not the team you are projecting to represent the conference in the Super Bowl. That's crazy to me.
I have my ways. But yeah, I got the Bengals winning. They're gonna be 8-6 at this point.
All right. Week 16 at Miami, 8:20 p.m. I think the Bengals run away with this one. I don't agree with you that the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL, but I do think they're substantially worse than the Bengals. And I think the Bengals are going to be fired up, and they're basically going to be on pace to win the AFC North at this point. Like there shouldn't be any reason at this point why you should be favoring the Ravens to win, because if things go the way I think they're going to go, it'll be a close race with the Ravens, but I think the Bengals will have the inside track here. So I think the Bengals all in the Joe Burrow era, the Bengals have tended to do really well down the stretch, and I think that continues here. So I think they take down the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, look, I have the Dolphins being the worst team in football. However, I do think this will be an upset for Miami because it's like I said with Minnesota. Y'all don't have a DB that can guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at the same time, and I think that's what's going to win the Dolphins' game.
Okay, wait, hold on. No cornerback in the NFL can guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at the same time. What?
That's my point.
But you would have two cornerbacks taking on. You wouldn't have one guy covering them.
It doesn't matter if you have 7 guys guarding both of the guys. You're not stopping Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. So I think the Dolphins win the game off of that alone.
Then why do you think they're the worst team in the NFL?
Because most of the games that the Dolphins lose, I think it's going to come down to just poor coaching and poor play.
I think at this point in the season, we were just slamming Jim earlier for predicting, injuries and stuff like that. But like I can't imagine Tua is not going to be injured by this point in the season. First of all,
you're being the hypocrite guy. Okay.
well, but that's based on logic though. I wasn't talking shit to Jim because of the moral aspect of predicting an injury. I was saying, like, what reason do you have to think that Spencer Rattler is going to be out by week 12 or 13? Like, why? But with Tua, I think historical precedent's on my side.
Oh, I think I know why Jim said Rattler might get hurt.
Why?
Because he knows that Spencer Rattler starts the whole season. He's going to do great, and the Saints are going to win lots of games. But if he's hurt, he knows that they're probably not going to be able to do that. So that's why Jim is rooting for injuries. Therefore, Jim is a terrible person.
Okay. So anyway, the Dolphins are going to beat the Dolphins are not going to beat the Bengals. The Bengals are going to beat the Dolphins, and Mikey's wrong.
I know.
Week 17, hosting the Cardinals. Bengals win. Again, we're running a little long, and I don't really like the Cardinals. So, if the Bengals lost that one, I'd be pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, I got the Bengals winning.
All right, and week 18 versus the Cleveland Browns. Now this one's tricky. I'm going to guess that at 12-4 at this point, the Bengals are probably going to be locked into whatever playoff seeding that they are at now. Unless they're still in contention for the number 1 seed, but I'm going to guess they're probably not. I'm going to guess they're probably locked in for the number 2 seed at 12-4, no matter what they do, based off of the teams that they've beaten so far. And that plus, the Browns at the end of the season are going to, want to put some pride together or something. So I do think the Browns win this game, and I think the Bengals finish with a 12-5 record.
All right, well, I think at 9-7, I think the Bengals are still competing to get in, to a wild card spot. So I do think the starters will be playing Week 18 against the Browns, and the Browns are probably going to be in the playoffs too. So I think it's going to be about 2 playoff teams. So yeah, bro, I can't even keep a straight face saying it, bro.
You did have the Browns at number 13 or something crazy in your power rankings.
I did have that, but yeah. So give me the Bengals beating the Browns Week 18 though to finish 10-7 with the Saints.
Let me just bring these. Oh no, wait, I'm on the wrong thing. Okay, so you got the Bengals finishing 10-7. I got them finishing 12-5. You got the Saints finishing. What was it?
10-7.
So you got the Bengals and the Saints both finishing 10-7, which is kind of crazy.
It could happen.
I guess it could happen, but I don't think it will. And then I got the Saints finishing. What was it? 6-11. I think.
Well, that's not very nice of you.
I didn't say it was nice. All right. So just as a quick reminder, these were Mikey's power rankings, and I was right. He did have the Browns at number fucking 13.
What the hell? Bro, I genuinely think the Browns could be a solid team this year, bro. I don't know what you want from me.
You don't think they can beat the Cardinals?
Who?
Yeah, didn't we both pick them to beat the Cardinals?
Who? The Saints or the Bengals?
The Bengals.
Yeah, I had the Bengals beating the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think we both had them beating the Cardinals. I'm confused as that Jim. But yeah, my official prediction on the season is 12-5, and I think it could be better. Like I said last year, if we had a halfway decent defense, which I think the defense will be still below average, but not horrendous this year, right? I think the defense will be a little better. And if the defense had been as much better last year as I think they're going to be this year, then they would have won every game except for the Eagles game. So, 12-5, they could do much better than 12-5. I don't know, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they could do worse.
Yeah, Jim, if you want to, you talk trash about Mikey a lot. If you want to talk trash about Mikey, I've got like perfect fucking fodder for you right here. Like, look at these power rankings, man. Like,
What?
because he's calling you out for like having the Jaguars and Jets also ranked so high.
Okay.
So I mean, like, you know, you want to talk trash? There's your fucking chance to talk trash.
Bro, I don't care, bro. Talk trash. I don't care.
All right.
Bro, this is not like a full-time job for me. So, like, bro, I can be, if I want to be silly, I can do that.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah,
if Jim wants to talk trash, he can talk trash.
yeah, like, I genuinely think, right, the Jets and Jaguars could be solid teams. You know, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. You know, well, I actually do have the Jaguars making the playoffs, but I don't think the Jets. You know, I don't think they're really gonna make the playoffs this season. But
I don't see any of those three teams coming anywhere remotely close to the playoffs, frankly.
okay, y'all were saying the same thing about the Commanders last year.
I don't feel I said that about the Commanders last year.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what I said about the Commanders. I didn't have them going as far as they did. I don't recall saying that the Commanders were going to be. I think I said the Commanders. If I recall, didn't I have the Commanders in as a wild card team?
What about the Broncos? You had the Broncos in the playoffs?
I think I said. I don't know if I had the Broncos in the playoffs, but again, I don't think I had the Broncos too far. I mean, the Broncos were the number 7 seed, right? So I think my prediction of them, I think I had them near the playoffs, but not in the playoffs, if I recall.
Yeah.
I think the team I was.
Like, that's why they play the games, man. This ain't college football where, you have a group of people deciding who wins games and stuff.
Now, I don't know if Jim had the Commanders in the playoffs or not. Like, I think I was higher on the Commanders than a lot of people were last year. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. If you go find the tape and it turns out that I'm full of shit, then please, bring the clip next time. But
we already know you're full of crap. So.
All right. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we are now a minute and 40. Wait, an hour and 41 seconds. An hour and 42 minutes now exactly. An hour and 42 minutes into this podcast.
It was 101 minutes ago the stream started.
Yeah, so there you go. So for those of you who have watched for the whole time, thank you. And if you're still watching, I have a bit of an announcement for you guys. We are okay. So I say we, I mean like my channel, but also Mikey's going to be involved. I'm going to be starting a new show on my channel, which is going to be kind of like a comedy news type of, like sports news, like but NFL, type of thing. I'm not really 100% sure about the direction, but we're going to have some fun with it at first, and we're going to see. It's going to be me as, the host, and then I'm going to have some, people on as, like, correspondents and stuff. Kind of like some of the content I did early on in the channel with me and my buddy Aaron. He was doing some correspondent bits for me, and it was pretty funny, but, he ended up not being able to continue with that, and it just kind of died, because I tried to play one of the correspondents myself and the host, and I while I thought that episode turned out pretty good, the amount of work it required for me to do was not something I wanted to commit to long term. And I gotta say, after doing that one episode, I gained so much respect for Tom Grossi and the way that he does those, like, I play every character in the fucking thing type of shows. Because, like, I tried that once and I'm like, wow, that turned out pretty good. And I don't want to do that again. I'm not saying if this show works out and it ends up being a long-term stay. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever do that for the comedic effect or whatever. I'm just saying I did that once and I was like, that was a lot of work, so that was a whole thing. But yeah, so gonna have a rotating cast of correspondents to do various field reports and skits and whatever, and that'll be I believe Did we say we're starting that next week, Mikey? I think.
I thought that's what you said.
Yeah, I think we're starting that next week. Again, I don't even know exactly what we're doing, like what the first episode is going to be just yet, but I guess I'll have to figure it out pretty quickly, right? So, but yeah, just so y'all know, that's coming on the channel, and that's going to be hopefully a mainstay at least throughout the season, and then hopefully throughout the off season too. We'll see. We'll see how it's doing at that point, and if it makes sense, because trying to do NFL news during the off season is a difficult thing. But ESPN manages to do it, so I guess if they can do it, why can't we do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but anyway, that's all I got as far as announcements. Mikey, you got anything that you want to tell them about your channel?
Yeah, man. Look, the channel going strong, bro. If y'all didn't know, me and my pops, right? We do something called the Hurricane Mike Show, and we're starting some. Well, we started it last year, and it actually did pretty well. We're doing some where we're doing 4 shows a week, actually. Where on Friday we do predictions. So if y'all want to see how stupid both of us look, you can do that. And then on Sunday we do the Saints previews before the games, and then the recaps right after. Then on Mondays we do the recaps of what happened in the week. And also another thing, last year, I bet my dad because he was saying how I was doing stupid picks, and I was like, didn't you have the Broncos beating the Chiefs? And then the Chiefs ended up winning, so I made him wear a tutu. It was actually kind of funny. So if you want to see something of that stuff,
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, he wore it on his head, so you can see it and stuff. So yeah.
All right. That sounds worth watching to me. But anyway, yeah, that's it for this week. So we'll be back next week. Me and Thomas, I think, we're gonna try. Obviously, we keep saying this and see what happens. But me and Thomas are gonna try to do a episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast sometime next week. And then you've got obviously this podcast is gonna also happen next week. And then on top of that, we're gonna try to do this new show next week. So yeah, we got now. We're not gonna do the Battle of Ohio podcast every week. I can't imagine anyway. Like, based off of the way it's gone, I can't imagine that's coming back for every week. It'd be cool if it did. I don't think it would. But full slate next week as far as content goes. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's all I got. I'll leave y'all as always with a hoo-day.
Hoo-dah.